it initially was.
Yeah. All right, we got a heck of a series right here and right now, so we've been looking forward to this one. It's going to be good. As you mentioned, it's pretty special because we do not get to see this all of the time. It's definitely a little bit of a treat when we do get to see it, so let's enjoy it. As we have in the top right-hand corner of the map, the blue Protoss player is MaxPax.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom left-hand side, representing Basilisk, it's Serral.
Alright. Well, what do you think? How much does Serral get aggressive? Do you think Serral wants to end up in those longer games? Do you think he's going to do anything he can to end the games before then? Or is MaxPax going to make it too difficult to kind of do that? What's the vibe for this series going into it, based on what we've seen from these guys recently?
My expectation is that Serral is going to try to mix it up in the mid-game. Just try to get a very, very solid early game without any drone losses. And then, yeah, bring his advantage towards the Protoss side of the map. Either go for a Spire, go for a Swarm Host, go for quick Hydra Bane timings, maybe go for Roach Hollins with Queen drops, go for, I don't know, Ravager Bane whenever there's no Stargate around. That type of stuff. I think he's going to try to preferably kill his opponent, and if not, at least pummel his economy a little bit, deny fort bases, try to kill some workers, try to multi-prong, that type of stuff. That's what I'm expecting from Serral. There might be a game where he goes straight to late game, but I don't think it will be his plan A in most of the maps.
Yeah, that's seems pretty reasonable. Yeah, I think it's right now, especially you mentioned like the later game is, you know, pretty nice for Protoss as well, right? And Serral's obviously extremely good there. But if that is leaning a little bit towards Protoss, we probably don't want to play towards that purposefully every single time. Probably want to mix it up and, you know, put a little bit of evidence, try and stay clear of that for the most part. So, yeah, I think it's a very good assessment. Excited to see what the guys bring us, as obviously game one gets going on Amygdala. Amygdala as a map's been pretty interesting. We mentioned a lot of the time that gold base and how much it then, you know, creates you know, an identity around the importance of the middle of the map. Is that something you think Serral pushes or plays around heavily? How interested is he in being able to take and hold onto a gold?
I think he's going to take it as a 6th base, or potentially 5th if he manages to clear it early, but he doesn't really like to play around the gold too much. I think he's going to take the base to the right of his 3rd as his 4th, and then very shortly after the 5th to the left of the gold. And then maybe he'll take it as a 6th or something. But yeah, it's not too important for Serral. One thing that's kind of bad for him is that he wanted to go for a foiling run-by. Because his opponent didn't scout. But he went the wrong path. He went the path of where the Adept walked. So the bottom side of the map. And because of that, the Zerglings didn't manage to get by the Adept. And now he'll have to use them defensively. That could have been 2 extra drones, because MaxPax straight up didn't scout, so you didn't even need to make 1 pair of links to make sure you get the 3rd edge down. Oh, it loses the creep tumor as well. Good shade cancel there from MaxPax.
MaxPax again, some of the earlier plays at the start of this match then, so again a couple of bits and pieces going his way. And Oracle still hanging around. Is going to be trying to see if it can do much as well, obviously get across the map. And as you mentioned, one of Serral's early goals likely is just to house a super clean early game. The cleaner his early game, the better a time he's going to have getting to the next stages. And you know, if this is a Protoss favored meta, then you kind of want to have that early game be as clean as possible. Make your life as simple as can be getting into those next stages.
Super early double spore. He likes to get those, then he moves the queens towards the 3rd. Then one thing he always does now is he transfers the drones from the natural to the 3rd, together with the queens. That will make the follow-up defense so much easier, because you don't need to defend the area between natural and 3rd base. Already, not a single worker has gone down. At the natural, he has a queen and a spore ready. At his 3rd base, he has the triple queen ready. Slightly out of position there, though, so he loses 2. I think that is still acceptable. And yeah, I think he just simplified his early game defense with this 1 drone transfer that he does the moment he runs towards the 3rd base with the queens. And it's worked wonders for him so far. I don't think I've seen too many early games where he ends up behind.
Well, now we get into this next step, which is going to be the couple of oracles on the map from MaxPax. Continue to find damage, but also progressing into that blink and the +1. MaxPax, we know he loves his blink. We know he is very good at being very aggressive with the blink, so this is expected. This is no surprise to anybody just yet. And we will see whether or not Serral can be prepped for the blink timing when the blink eventually does come to the point of connecting in from the other side of the map. So that is basically our next few moments and what we're waiting to set up for. And we'll see how that all turns out.
Yeah, that's the most standard opening. MaxPax will go for this 2 to 3 times per series. And then he's gonna have 1 or 2 games where he's gonna mix it up. But this is his bread and butter. This is where he goes. Just get up his drone probe count as early as possible. Go from 2 gates to 6. Warp in some stalkers, take a 4th. Go for a Robo, a Templar Archives. Play from there. And Serral with a straight Hydrodem, that is good against Blink. You don't want to see that against Charged Archon, so he has a good builder matchup. But Blink Stalkers are just so good all around that it's not like even if you have even the good builder matchup for Zerg, it doesn't guarantee you a good outcome of the game.
Yep. And you have some Stalkers working their way down that right side. There is a Ling holding the watchtower for a few moments, so just hanging around right there as we have the Stalkers still pressing up, plus 1 Blink coming through. Continue to bring that over and get into position over these next few moments. So yeah, we take position, we get settled down, and we just have ourselves the Stalkers going to start hitting that hatchery. So hatch will begin to take some shots, and we'll have the Stalkers already blinking back after some of those Lings, just chasing them from trying to run by, trying to dissuade them from going all the way across the map wherever we can. As the Lings actually trying to hit the front there, and the Stalker just about getting in position to stop those Lings from making their way through.
MaxPax forcing Serral to engage into him by just target firing the hatchery. And he still has a couple of stasis wards to fall back to. Good diffuses so far from Serral. All 3 stasis wards go down and just 4 Zerglings are caught. The moment Serral has had this, he's gonna start up Hive and Lurker then. He wants to do the Lurker timing this game. He had a super early infestation pit, but by how threatening MaxPax is here, at the 4th base of Serral, Serral needed to hold down the unit button for a little bit longer than he really realistically wanted to. He's cleaning this up decently, but the trades overall, I would say, still favoring MaxPax, who's now transitioned into his own charge, and who should most likely start Storm sometime soon.
Yeah, get that Storm, and obviously begin to prep for a later stage of this game where you're going to need some splash damage. Storm is one of the easier ways to get into splash damage from this position. There it is, starts up right now, so MaxPax gets that queued. And Serral does begin to move his way into the Hive, which, as we mentioned, obviously leads towards most likely that Lurker style of play. For the next step of this, you get those Lurkers up, you play from there. As you do see the few Lings going to gas around on a Zealot, so that gets taken out as well. Another nice grab for the moment.
Good run by. I mean, this will force MaxPax to go back, I think. With the 4 Hydras as well, that means the Oracles can't defend it by themselves. MaxPax still trying to be active here with the Stalkers, but he will have to cancel this 4th base if he doesn't recall. I think it's gone. Great counterattack there from Serral. First big move here of the series, and he recalled the wrong base, I think, as well.
Yep, that's rough. That's just a 4th base going down. Great, like you say, great counterattack. I love the mixing, like you mentioned, of the Hydras, just to make it so that you don't just get to be like, aha, well, I brought an Oracle, and that's that. Obviously, that's not the case at all in that scenario, so that's actually really nice to see. Enjoyed that one. And now we step into the next step of this game, which is going to be what? I mean, Stalker's going to try and come to the right side, and actually going to take a 4th base over here instead, so just completely changing the direction of this this expansion pattern now, and just instead of taking the 12 o'clock, taking the 3 o'clock. That is going to allow him to attack more aggressively towards Serral's 4th base, but it also more freely gives Serral a chance to get the 5th base up to the top, but maybe Zealot run-bys can make some efforts there as this game progresses.
I'm not sure how much I like this, because Serral wants to kill MaxPax with a Lurker timing. He has Lurkers out quite early, and these bases are very, very close to each other. Serral still needs to defend his 5th base, where there's a very odd-looking run-by with 5 Zealots and 3 Eye Templars and a couple of extra Zealot Warpins that go for a good blink forward, catches a morphing Lurker and cancels it. But that's... I mean, this is an awkward army to engage, but MaxPax is not paying attention. Lost 1 High Templar without storming. Still 2 storms left in that run-by. No fleet beacon. Oh no, never mind, the fleet beacon is done. Mothership started just now. I think he needs Tempest production relatively soon, rather sooner than later.
These Zealots actually going to get a decent trade against these Hydras. There's a lot of Hydras going down before any reinforcements show up, so we are able to net ourselves a whole bunch of damage right there. That is amazing. We are going to be loving that one, so that's going to be nice for MaxPax getting some of those trades. As, yeah, Tempest on the way up, Mothership as well. The Lurkers continue to build, though, and that should kind of put this game on a little bit of a halt for for MaxPax, right? Once Lurkers are out, he does not have necessarily the tools to truly fight into those for the moment.
Man, I don't know why he made 2 Vipers. It confuses me a little bit, to be honest, because I don't even know what he wants to abduct against Stalker Storm. And it slows down his Lurkers a little bit. I think Serral will have a hard time moving out against this setup. There's 2 stasis wards, and there's a lot of range units, so it's difficult to commit into this. Which means that if Serral wants to move forward, he either needs to counterattack or run into stasis wards. So you would, I would think usually you prefer to go for the counterattack path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, running into stasis wards doesn't seem smart.
No, it's not great. It usually doesn't go great for the Zerg. Yeah, now he's splitting off some units towards the top side. That I very much so like. I think he needs to distract the Protoss in order to move forward and advance in the bottom side of the map. As MaxPax already ready with the pre-split. Has a good chunk of units here at the top, but not enough for all of the units that Serral has to offer on this side.
Yeah, there's a lot of forces. The Storm's pretty good against some of the Lings to soften them up. We have one more Storm there. So we'll just get rid of a pylon and we'll see if he wants to advance further forwards. Of course, the Lurker is going to be great at bullying your way into position to take further advantage, and looks like that's kind of the idea. MaxPax threatens the idea of a attack from the bottom right-hand side, so threatening that idea but not going to pull it off just yet. And we settle down once more.
That was crazy risky by MaxPax because he gave Serral time to advance in the bottom. He went there with everything, and then also he didn't go for it. He could have just A-moved that army with everything, together with a time warp. Now instead, he's struggling in the bottom. Oh, that was poorly microed from Protoss. That was awful. He blinked forward and tried to split, but the damage was done already by the Lurker spines. And I mean, this army, he can also A-move this army, honestly. If he micros it correctly, this shouldn't be an issue. It's 7 Lurkers by themselves. You can legitimately force all the Lurker spines onto one Zealot and then just A-move it. But MaxPax maybe giving Serral a little bit too much respect here.
Yep. So he's finally going to get the Tempest out and start pushing this back, but a bad slew of trades kind of building up to this obviously does him absolutely no favors. Hydras and Lurkers, a few of them still on the top side as well. Serral also taking the chance to make some Corruptors to get ready to answer the Tempest, and then immediately with the Greatest Spider as well says, cool, if I'm going to make Corruptors, I'm going to make sure I have a way to use these Corruptors in the next stage of the game as well. And that will be with the Broodlords, so just continuing to advance his tech and his setup as we move along.
I think MaxPax should be the one poking right now. I don't like the way he's being passive, because he should be standing on the edge of creep, constantly firing with the Tempest. And when Serral approaches him, then retreat with Storm. Worst case, you get Fagner, then you recall out.
Yeah.
But I really think he should use the Tempest a little bit more aggressively. He made so many of them as well, 7 Tempest, that if you just sit there and then you let the Zerg get control, yeah, it will become a lot harder to play.
Well,
yeah, this is what I like. Now you should just keep shooting with the Tempest. See there, two dead Hydras right there.
Yep, just pick up free damage.
Dead Zerglings. Exactly, yeah. Oh, good abducts here. The High Templars were out of position. He gets 1 Tempest. Actually loses some Corruptors for that, so...
Wasn't completely free, but... Good ideas. Yeah. I mean, if you can get the... if the High Templars are not there to feedback, right, then you want to take advantage of that. That's where you're going to be able to get in with those Vipers, and obviously Vipers create very efficient trades for you, which is basically at this point what we're hunting for.
Exactly. I mean, even that trade, if you lose 2 Corruptors for a Tempest, that's a good trade for Protoss. Tempests are not that expensive. So... yeah, I like these pokes. Just have some Archons, some High Templars, and let the Tempest shoot. Let the Tempest do their thing. He tried to poke at the top, it didn't quite work out. He especially struggled a bit with the detection there on the top, trying to get past these Spore Crawlers with just his observers. But yeah, I think he should be a little bit more active.
We have the Stormers coming off once again, the army of Serral taking the center of the map. MaxPax is going to rotate back around the upper side with this portion that's accompanied by the mothership. We do have our +2 air weapons on the way, which will help him as well. Serral still threatening the idea of pushing forward, trying to open up some rocks and trying to open up some more positions once more. Well, if you give those Tempests a chance, though, they are absolutely going to come through, connect, and deal a bunch more damage.
Yeah, good trades by the Tempest. The one late game they played in the last series, MaxPax went for carriers at some point, at which point he like straight up the game from before he made the carries was fine, and then the game after he made the carries was terrible for him. So I hope he doesn't make that same mistake again. He's also a bit too slow in expanding. I think those are the things that he can still improve upon, because you can see Serral is turtling. He's sitting behind spore crawlers. MaxPax should be trying to take the corner bases, in my opinion. The gold base might be hard to mine from with the lurkers, but trying to take the corner bases forces Zerg to run into him, and then the Tempest can once again shine, and he doesn't even need to go on a creep, which seems to be the main thing that he's worried about, if I had to guess, because he's so passive with his Tempest that he must be afraid of something. I would guess it's just running on creep.
Well, he is just going to try and poke away from the bottom side. That stays is going to get a catch up to the top area as well, so just going to try and position there, as we now have another ship coming through, and we're going to go for the center, and just going to try and deny this gold. MaxPax testing to see if Serral can reposition and rotate into location effectively enough with that army. And going to hit the gold base a little bit. The drones have to pull away. Serral, big corruptors gathering around, is going to hit a fungal, but there's no real follow-up to that at the moment. So just a fungal, like I said, that doesn't really go anywhere for the moment.
Keep fighting there. What is he going back for?
Serral's not doing anything to push him back, right? Like, he drops one fungal but has no follow-up. To me, that screams like, we can stand here, we can trade. There's no need to, you know, like you say, run back. You know, the main army was in a good position. You had a position that refuses to take advantage of it.
I really don't get it. I mean, he should have at least killed the gold base. There's 2 Tempest volleys to kill that gold base. Now he's trying to get back out on the map. He went back with his entire army for 3 Lurker, which could have just been cleared up by a single Oracle and maybe some Zealots. As Serral is now transitioning into the Broodlords. MaxPax once again going for the army split, which I don't mind. It's important that he has a bunch of High Templars on the Tempest side with energy. So far that's not the case. Yeah, I mean the bank is looking good for MaxPax, but the army that Serral is making is more expensive and better in the long run. So I think MaxPax really needs to be a little bit more active on the map. I think it's every second where the Tempest is not firing at the Zerg army, I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity.
Gonna come through and have a couple of shots fired. Once again, it's actually going to be a split of army from MaxPax, as Serral's going to have fungals available. He is going to lose one Tempest quickly. Sorry, not one Tempest, one Festa quickly. He's going to drop a couple fungals, tries to follow up with the Broodlords, but he just was too far away. And MaxPax now recall and cooldown at least, as we come around the left-hand side and we commit over here. And we will once again have this gold under fire. This should absolutely get denied, as you said you would have liked to have seen beforehand. This time it should actually take place.
Yeah, it's like legit 2 bodies from Tempest. If all of them shoot. The gold base goes down and Serral is back on his original 5 bases. It's very, very difficult on this map to expand as a Zerg. He's trying to get the bottom right-hand side base, which is MaxPax's right now, so that just goes to show off. No matter which base Serral takes now, it's a pain to defend. He would need to go off creep to defend it. Unless it's the gold base, in which case he would need to fight over the minerals, you know?
Yeah. Well, we're going to see a big fight breaking out here as fungals come down. Storms cover the Corruptors. Corruptor kind of doesn't look as though it's going to be good enough to get rid of a lot of the air army, which leaves Serral in a position where he has to absolutely back away from this. He cannot continue to fight through when you're out of anti-air. So he's going to have to fall back, and this fight comes to a close right now. And we have ourselves a MaxPax army that stays very much so standing, even after Serral decided he wanted to commit on in.
Yeah, this is the biggest strength of those Protoss armies, that it's impossible to engage into. I think you need to out-multitask it, you need to force it back, you need to work with counterattacks. If you just run at it, the army will kite and storm. And that's always a bad fight for you, especially if Time Warp is active as well. He needs to watch out a little bit, as a lot of his units are low on HP, and he's completely out of storms. The Archons need to stand there, focus fire the Corruptors if he wants to have a chance at taking a decent engagement. Warp in the Stalkers, exactly. That's a good choice here from MaxPax. The Broodlords are very far back, still distracted by the Archons that are warping in. A lot of Corruptors are going down, and this is very bad for Serral. This is the last army that he can make of this caliber in this game. I don't think, even with the resources that he has left, he can make too many more of these Broodlord armies. So as long as MaxPax trades the way he's been doing, I think there's not much that Zerg can do.
Yep, running out of options, and running out of options quickly. As you mentioned, it's Serral, who is not mining off of a ton of bases, right? He is very much so limited to the base he has. It's not like he's got no bases, just not a lot, and the bank is not there any longer. It does feel as though, as you've mentioned, that he's starting to just die out. He's got a little bit of money, but the problem is his army is not really getting any better, right? So it's not like, you know, if he couldn't deal with his Protoss army in the first place, what's going to change to make him be able to deal with it now?
But if MaxPax flanks, Serral is straight up dead. If he goes down there with just the Brood Lords, the Stalkers alone will kill these Brood Lords. Okay, MaxPax stays active in the middle of the map. I love the army split. He can now deny the gold base mining once again.
Yep.
Yeah, that storm I'm not the biggest fan of because that was the last storm he had in that army. But yeah, now he can start being active again. He doesn't even need to now anymore though, because now he got the bottom right and Serral needs to do something. So yeah, Serral trying to deny the gold base. That's good. Let's see MaxPax moving out again with the Tempest side of his army.
Yeah, just going to come across. We do have our Brood Lords are still whacking away. The few probes going down. Nexus taking a few shots. I mean, Serral's going to run a few lings up the other direction as well, try and make something happen over there. Although not really going all too well just yet, as the Corrupted Brood Infestor will get back towards the gold, and we settle for a moment or so. It does really just feel like a moment or so as MaxPax, another Stargate, still pretty much maxed out, so a lot of money in the bank. Don't think he should be too afraid of still moving about and trying to get things done right now. Like, he should be feeling pretty okay about that.
Yeah, every fight so far went this way. If Serral engages into him, you just mass storms, and he has enough High Templars with energy to do exactly that. So yeah, now he starts doing it again. He goes forward. He pokes with a Tempest, kills the first Spore Crawler, kills the gas. The moment he gets vision on top of those Lurkers, he can also kill the Lurkers. Sieges the Observer this time outside of the Spore range. So that's good as well. And now the moment the Zerg comes, you just retreat once again. You throw down some storms, you retreat. This is the good stuff. That's how you're supposed to play this late game. And that's why every single Zerg I know doesn't want to get into this stage of the game whatsoever. I don't think this was Serral's game plan. I think he wanted to do more with the Lurkers, but yeah, MaxPax just played it well, honestly. He kept being active.
Made it very difficult for Serral to really take advantage of Lurkers anyway. He had a couple of good Lurker fights, but yeah, obviously you stay active, Lurkers have to reposition, and in the end it was definitely some well-played positions by MaxPax. He was able to take advantage of some of the setups that will begin to build out of it.
Yeah, it's definitely not over yet. Serral's army still is very competitive. If he gets a jump on MaxPax's army, he has the possibility of just straight up wiping MaxPax's army, but it obviously needs a Protoss mistake at this point. It needs to either get all of your High Templars caught, not looking at your army at the right time. You can't come back here with abducting a couple of units. That's not the game state we're looking at this point. He needs to watch out with his units, and he needs to catch the Protoss army somehow with a huge funnel. Preferably wherever the mothership is, so it's more difficult to recall. Okay, a lot of storms are dropping now. Good time warp. All of the High Templars are dying. Funnel plus Parasitic Bomb will kill all of the Tempest. All of the Corruptors and Lurkers are also low HP.
What a fight.
I mean, that was as good as it gets. This is exactly what I was talking about. Everything was on one blob. He killed all the High Templars first. He hit the Parasitic Bomb. It doesn't get much better than that. Now also a lot of his own units are low on HP though, and Zerg units don't regenerate that quickly. It takes forever for these Corruptors to be full HP again.
That could be scary, kind of moving through from here as we see some Stalker Archon going to step up for MaxPax, but that's the kind of fight Serral needed as his money was running low. He's able to kind of get himself a little bit of a breather for just a few moments. You see Stalkers and Archons going to gather back up there as well. As the Talon goes down the top left, which is where Serral is trying to expand to. So he's going to get a base up in the top, and MaxPax will see that pretty much immediately, so he can come across and deny that just before it finishes. And this hatchery is going to be going down.
Yeah, no way he will ever mine for this. I think Serral needs to do an all-in. I think Serral needs to move out and win basically 2 fights. He needs to beat the army hard enough that the Remax doesn't kill him. Because without winning a fight, he will never ever take any of these corner bases, and he's just gonna get outmined. So Serral is doing what I said, and he's trying to force a fight. Preferably a good fight for him, as here he loses the first. I mean, this is just his strength of the Tempest, right? Every shot a dead unit, couple of dead Broodlords there. And in the long run, 2 Broodlords are more expensive than a Nexus. I mean, it is what it is, you know? Oh, that's a slow warp, and that was really, really efficient for Serral. He not only killed the Nexus, but also the entire Zealot warp in with just a couple of Zerglings. So that was quite good for him.
Lurkers get burrowed up on the bottom side again, gonna scare that Protoss army off for just a little while here, so able to chase that away for the moment. As we have got ourselves the Infestors, the Broods, the Corruptors all gathering together right now. Two cannons and the Nexus coming online as well, so bringing up as much as we can here as we ready ourselves for this next stage.
If I was MaxPax, I would split my army the exact opposite way, where I have the Tempest shooting at the Lurkers in the bottom. You force the Corruptor Broodlord to go over there, and that means just at the top you secure that base automatically with a more mobile army. Like if Serral was to move then his entire Lurkers over to the top, then you can try to kill the gold base. Like you wanna force the Lurkers to split up, and then your mobile ground army should be the one that's winning it. Don't make carriers, man. Come on. Why?
There's no need for carriers in this game, right?
They don't synergize with the army. The Tempests are here to pick off stuff. The Storms are there. Storm and Icon is there to punish Zerg for diving on top of you. Carriers are not good at poking, not better than Tempest at the very least. And they're not good at punishing a Zerg that's diving you. They need a lot of time until they get their full DPS out. It is just... I don't understand why he's making the carriers again. They worked terribly as well the last time. They legit did nothing. He lost the game, and the carriers didn't even kill anything. Like, you didn't watch the game. It was 15 minutes of the carriers just moving with the army. The Tempest would shoot, and the carriers did nothing, like this.
Well, gonna get to the top and actually snipe down a carrier there with the Corruptors, so MaxPax is going to deny the top left base. You mentioned Serral's going to struggle to mine from there, so he maybe just needs to go for one big push and, like you say, win a couple fights. Has money in the bank to rebuild a little bit, but obviously so does the Protoss player, so both sides are looking at remax here. We stepped in a Lurker range for a second there, and that's going to hurt a little bit too, so it's also not exactly ideal. As we just have the Broods, the Infestors, continue to reposition back around, and we settle down for a few more moments.
Nah, I mean, Serral would still need to do something. He can't let MaxPax mine from the two. Well, yeah, that's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to jump on top of MaxPax's army. This is where all the Storms come out. MaxPax should recall the rest of his army here, no? He warped in a lot of High Templars. He's warping them into Archons. There's not that many Corruptors here left over.
I mean, enough Corruptors for now, though. I guess the Archons are going to be a big deal. The Broodlords have to kite back against those Archons, but the Archons are going to struggle to reach. However, here comes the Stalkers. They're going to go blinking underneath. The Fungal will catch some of them. The Broodlords are really trying to fight off this chase right now, trying to make it so that you cannot get away with this jump forwards. Serral is doing well. I mean, both players have money in the bank still to remax, as MaxPax actually does in the end have to step away from that, and so he will step away for a moment. Well, Serral actually doing a very good job once again. However, that's the end of his bank pretty much. He's got no gas left at this point. And that's going to be difficult, considering he's been mining off the base he's been mining off of for, at this point, an extended period.
Yeah, this is the end of his... Not only his bank, but also the resources that he's mined. Every single base he has right now is completely mined out. He needs to win with the army that he has right now. He knows it. He's attacking. He's trying to force MaxPax to make a mistake. MaxPax needs to chill. He doesn't need to defend this gold base. He needs to wait for his Tempest to come out. Be still... Yeah, exactly what he's doing right now. Try to avoid the Broodlord fight. Good Zealot Warping at the top. Don't let Serral take that base. That should be priority number one. And then move around with your army. Your army strength is still that it's more mobile than a Zerg army, so that's great stuff from MaxPax. Recognizing what he needs to do at this point. Restarts the Mothership. His Tempests are out now, so he can warp in one more round and then start fighting towards the Broodlords again. I really want to see focus fire now on the Broodlords, though. No more Tempest shooting at Corruptors, and he's doing exactly that. That's good stuff.
And chipping away at those as MaxPax has still got that bottom right base mine up a little bit, and that's just maybe where some of his resources are coming from. Serral is truly mined out of the base he has access to, more or less. The Zealots, a couple High Templar here, trade with some Lings, but they will end up going down, as Serral will have the now push forwards onto this base. This is where some of the mineral mining is still coming from. It's just going to be so tough to break through that bottom right location, which is where obviously so much of it remains for MaxPax at this point.
Yeah, it would be huge if Serral can kill this base, even though it's not mining anymore. It's a position that is fortified and where MaxPax can at any moment recall towards. And it's a very close base to the only base that Serral can take, you know? Serral needs to mine from the very top left, otherwise he doesn't have a chance at winning this game.
Well, let's see.
Or he needs to kill MaxPax. It's one or the other. But he seems to try to... Like, he traded well enough. The resource loss is now even again, even though he was down 10k before that. So the last couple of fights were really good for MaxPax. The 2 big engagements were really good for him. So if Serral manages to mine his half of the map, he can win the game.
Yep. No, resources loss means that it's even, but you just got to mine from the corner base. And that's the one thing MaxPax so far has been great at denying Serral from doing. That obviously may not be the case much longer here at this stage, as we just have the Archons, the Tempest, carriers stepping through. The Lurkers are going to be there. They are going to shoot and fire back. And for the moment, at least, Serral's base in the top left continues to come online, and I don't know how long that's going to be for, because the entire Protoss army is here, because MaxPax very well knows he just does not want to let Serral mine from that base. And Serral now going to come in for the fight and try and pincer, based on the fact that that MaxPax is trying to deny that the Neo Parasites go down. Some of these infestors starting to die. The Broodlords doing their thing. The Corruptors trying to get through the air army. The Corruptors still on the top side, as the Broodlords are working their way through the Archons. MaxPax's supply is plummeted. Serral's supply is kind of stronger, but he's completely out of money. So he's got no rebuild potential at all right now. Only what he's going to mine off that top base. Wow.
I think good call that he went back there. His army was weak to a Stalker remix, plus a recall, because there were already a bunch of Stalkers. There wasn't a single Lurker at the top anymore, together with the Broodlords at the front. So good choice from Serral to go back. He's so good at taking the fights, it's actually insane. He manages to take positive trades there. Carrier is still being useless in here.
Yep.
But only one carrier left at this point.
This is
it's still super close.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, it's going to come down to this top left base currently of Serral, right? I mean, if he can genuinely just get a little bit of time to mine off of this position, then he can absolutely kind of do enough. I mean, MaxPax has been mining the bottom right for a lot longer, so his money is going to run dry a little sooner. Resource loss is still pretty much dead even, 58 to 59k difference.
Yeah, MaxPax feels like he will have to go. I mean, I agree with that. I think MaxPax should try to go towards the top and engage there slowly but surely. Don't try to force the issue too hard. Maybe wait for all the Tempests that you have on the way and then start poking at his opponent. Try to have like a concave set up off ground on the high ground and then go like that. I think these 4 Lurkers should be forfeit. I don't think you want to fight for that. Nope. We'll see if Serral disagrees. He's
setting up. Well, he saves 3 out of 4. That ain't bad.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Take that.
Oh, he wants to go. He wants to go. The 3 Tempests are still in production, so this might not be a bad way to go about it. He kills 1 Eye Templar and 2 Oracles right away in exchange for just a couple of Corruptors. Good trade here once again for Serral. The Oracles are also very expensive at this point. They cost almost as much gas as a Tempest, or even the same amount of gas, and 25 less. So Oracles, rebuilding those at this point, MaxPax can't do that for long anymore. He's very limited on gas. I think only the gases at the gold and at the bottom are still running.
Yeah, it's getting very expensive for MaxPax, so he is also running into some of the economy issues where you've just spent a lot of that money, you've already used up a lot of that gas into your army, and now there is just not a lot of it left at all. As the army maneuvers around here from MaxPax, going to take a step towards the center. Army supplies 145 to 148 currently as well, just to keep this as close as possible.
I wonder who's going to be the one to actually attack, because both of them are right now just happy mining their resources. I think best case for MaxPax is he waits for a little bit longer, because he's mining 2 bases right now, so his rate of income is higher. And then he goes once his bases run out, because Serral's top left base will run out last. So that should be where his biggest advantage is. If I'm MaxPax, I would try to even put some batteries, as Serral once again finds a couple of almost free pickoffs. They're never quite free as long as the Tempests are shooting, but the Tempests were shooting at Broodlings quite often there, so... Okay, Fungal gets a single Tempest, 1 Queen dies. Infestor dies as well. All of this army is bunched up. Parasitic Bomb hits, not that many Corruptors are left over. Storms are blanketing the army. As the Zealots are running in from the sides, the Tempests have to run. There's not that much anti-air left from Serral. MaxPax has a remix, but what does he even remix on? I think it's important that Tempests keep firing. Good fight from Serral again, holy shit.
Good fight, but he just needs enough anti-air to actually see this through, right? Because if he runs out of anti-air, the Tempest can eventually just play cleanup. So it doesn't matter how well you do if you run out of one of the main parts of what you need, basically. So that is the current situation of this, where Serral just needs to make sure he's got enough anti-air. He can actually engage into these Tempests and actually knock those down. He's going to knock down a couple. We're actually going to rebuild Void Rays, which might just be the call. If you're recognizing your opponent's running low on anti-air, you can get Void Rays up fairly quickly. Maybe that's good enough for you. Now, we have to buy time for those Voids to come online, though. He's even going to start getting the Flux Veins upgrade as well for them.
I think he lost too many Tempests, because the Void Rays alone are going to lose against the Queens. He needs a Tempest to force the Corruptors to run into his army, and then the Void Rays can shine, but he lost too many Tempests. He was a little bit too happy to stay here and fight, and it was not the play. As the Lurkers go forward, they kill the base, they kill 14 workers. MaxPax says it's now or never. He's trying to go forward, he's almost mined out. It will be never, because the Queens are here. They're transfusing all the Corruptors. It will barely not be enough for MaxPax to get through the anti-air of Serral, and Serral does fulfill.
See if MaxPax can bring it back, because that is a little bit of a rough start to the series, because it feels like you're doing well, and then Serral brings it all the way back, takes some amazing fights in the later game, and is able to claw himself to a 1-0 lead in this best of 5. He starts off in the bottom right-hand corner of El Dorado for this game 2 of the series.
And his opponent in the bottom left is Scythe Storm's MaxPax.
Wild. Actually wild. That's what we mean when, like, I feel like when Clem and Hero play later, we're not going to quite see the games, which is like that, you know? Just to clarify, when we were talking earlier about the idea of, you know, this is going to be the bang series.
It is a banger series. I think a lot of Clem vs Hero will be decided in the early stages. It's still also going to be a banger, but just a little bit less.
Different manner, I guess. Different way of being great. Oh, alright, well, we can breathe and get ourselves into this game. Number 2, as we do have MaxPax blocking the hatch just to start us off for the first few moments of the Nexus. The hatch just for the first few moments, and slowing that down for a couple of seconds in the early stages.
Yeah, someone in chat has said, let me just send out a single High Templar against Broodlords with 9,000 range, but you need to understand that if you have a High Templar in front of your Tempest, or at the same range, the Tempest actually outranges the Broodlord, so the Tempest can kill the Broodlord as he's approaching. So let's say even the Broodlord gets the High Templar, that's a negative trade for the Zerg, because the Broodlord is more expensive. And you can afford to lose a lot of High Templars. It's just important to have them there in case feedback is necessary, you know? And also even storming a couple of Corruptors that are usually clamped up is a lot of damage there that is worth it for one High Templar in a late game like that. 150 gas is not as decisive as getting your entire army funneled, for example, so it is the way you're supposed to play, and I know MaxPax knows it as well. He tried it a couple of times. It's just, as I said, it's a thing of practice, and I'm sure he will get better the more he plays these late games. The last late game looked a lot better than the one he played in the lower bracket of Masters Colosseum. So I definitely see the improvement curve there.
It's crazy to me how quickly, you know, you go from, you know, that series like last week, or even a week ago, and like you learn and improve so much off of that already, right? Like the ability to kind of just look and have that experience, be like, cool, that experience is, you know, giving me the ability to do this and this, and I'm going to improve on that. I also find that very, very impressive.
Yeah, it is interesting because I believe the best way to improve is trying to do something that is challenging for yourself, something that's not impossible, but challenging. And for these players, there's only a very select few players that are truly challenging matchups for them, where they think they are maybe even the underdog. So I think they improve the most within these games and throughout these series. And they never really play custom games against each other, because they would specifically practice for their opponent, right? And very often that favors one race over the other. So the one race that is like the one race that needs to surprise their opponents a little bit more does not want to be the one that gives them that practice. That currently is Zerg, so I'm pretty sure if MaxPax was to ask Serral, Serral would say no. And likewise, if Clem asked Serral, maybe Clem would say no, because that would be the best practice for Serral, and in that matchup, Zerg is the purely reactive race. So yeah, it's interesting how that works out. And I think it's also cool to see how much really things change from one series to another. Serral obviously lost the first 2 times he played against MaxPax, and then completely changed, basically not making Infestation Pit. Unless MaxPax deserved to see the Infestation Pit. If MaxPax survived the mid-game onslaught, Serral was like, okay, here you go, you have the Infestation Pit, you get yourself a late game. Which was not the case last game. Last game I think he wanted to go for Lurker aggression. This game will be completely different, as MaxPax is going to open up with an Archon drop after a quick third base.
Completely different style here from my Protoss. The single Oracle just going to be moving around, and then, like you say, that Twilight Robo combo, setting up to get the Temple Archives, and Archon drop it up for the early stages here, and yeah, MaxPax just going to be able to do something different, mix it up from game to game, and make sure that these early games, even though that last early game was so long ago, is something that he doesn't look back to. Even though that last early game was fine for him, just wants to make sure he does bring different opportunities into play, because obviously off the Archon drop you have so many different timers you can hit as well, and that's going to keep Serral on his toes a little bit heading into the next stage of the game.
Yeah, I think it's scary to go Archon up on this map, because this map is very good for Swarm Host, and Swarm Host Nidus is actually quite good against Charged Archon. So we'll see how much damage he gets done, and we'll also see how Serral responds. Serral might just respond with a Roach Ravager Queen All-in as well. The last time MaxPax played this build, first of all, this was a build that Mana played against Serral, and Mana actually won a map against Serral with this build. MaxPax copied it, he changed it only slightly. Serral went for the Roach Ravager All-in, and he lost, but it was mainly due to one bad stasis ward. So I think there is a good chance that we'll see Serral going for just the same All-in again. And we'll see how that works out, because so far he's just making roaches.
Yeah, roaches on the way up as the couple of Archons will finish morphing, and so pressure will be applied very soon. The Prism will take its step forward and will take its chance to try and deal some damage here. So Prism drops across those gold minerals, drops those Archons off, and they're just going to go and grab the Overlord. As the few roaches and the queens continue to move about, the Prism gets turned around immediately, and just has to pull back there as the +1 and the charge continue to come through.
Oh, MaxPax saw the lack of a gas there, right? Yeah, that's huge. That is huge. He should know right now that this is an all-in. There's no way a Zerg of Serral's caliber, who lost 0 drones, doesn't have 6 gas right now if he's not all-inning. When he's going roaches as well. I'm not sure how good MaxPax knows this type of stuff, because he doesn't offer as much as Zerg. But to me, it is super obvious that this has to be... I mean, he sees the amount of roaches. He knows, right?
Yeah.
He knows.
That's a lot of roaches wandering your way, and that doesn't usually happen for no reason. So across the map we go, as we do see the couple of Lings there initially going to be taking some shots. The Zelts come back around, and we just have the roaches now starting to arrive towards the left-hand side. So here we go with the Ling Roach Ravager attack here from Serral, who is going to be looking to try and just break through this and get off to a very good quick start right now. The State Sword catching a couple of Lings. The Roach is going to actually start diving into the natural, but a good force field there. Only 2 Ravagers, so we don't have a lot of force field breaking abilities right now as Serral. So you've got to be pretty careful with where you pick and choose to utilize that, as he is going to go pretty heavy toward the natural. Really wants to break in here, and he is going to get a few more Roaches in this time, though another sentry is going to show up, and he's still trying to just hold the Archons off on the low ground as well.
Yeah, he even started an extra robo, which will not come into play, and he's using all of the Oracle energy for just a couple of stasis wards, which I don't like. I think the Oracle should have been used mainly in the natural. Still, most of his robos are alive. I think Serral missed a little bit of an opportunity killing that one pylon powering the 2 gateways, which would help him in his attack. Most of the gas units of MaxPax are still alive, and it's looking like a hold so far. The supplies are getting closer and closer. Good Warp Prism micro so far. He needs one more Warp in at the very least. He also will have energy recharge soon again.
Yep.
He just doesn't have the Nexus energy right now. And that means more shield battery energy and more survivability for the units that MaxPax has. It's very important that he doesn't lose a single one of those Immortals. And as long as he doesn't, he should be fine.
Yeah, it looks as though he is going to be able to just about get the hold here. I mean, Serral obviously still full force sending it. He's going to start an Evo Chamber behind this, but realistically, he needs more than this, right? Because if a Protoss army survives at this caliber, it's going to be well upgraded, it's going to have a lot of power units in. Serral is still just going to be on Roaches and Ravages for such a long time here, and that just does not trade well. The deeper this game goes, the more tech units come out for the Protoss player. It just gets worse and worse for you, quite frankly, so this is not looking pretty at all for Serral, who I think is absolutely finding himself on a timer here to, like I still try and force the issue. Even if he's getting an upgrade, there's no sign of droning, there's no sign of real longevity in this game. Just trying to get it done right here with this attack still.
Yeah, MaxPax even starting to dodge the volleys of the Roaches and the Ravagers mid-air with the War Prism. That was not the prettiest fight, he just had to disengage there. I think he should wait until Serral fully commits onto the third base, then go out with all of the units and then fight with all of the Zealots as well. And MaxPax has just F2'd even the Zealots back home from the run-by that he had going on. So he's trying to corner the army, now realizes it's not possible and then sends the Zealots back across.
Yep. Looks as though this one is going to be getting a little bit shut down, as we still just have, obviously, Serral will do his best to keep MaxPax as busy as possible. Even going to try and integrate Burrow into play right now, so going to do everything possible to just try and edge something out of this still. But it's obviously not looking great, especially as MaxPax just says, cool, I'm safe enough to start Storm. That's when you know the Protoss player is going to be feeling good about this one.
Yeah. He also only needs to kill this one Overlord, and then the creep advantage will be gone on this side, which Serral has used to his advantage to trade a little bit better than he was supposed to. Massive Zealot counterattack got spotted, now runs back. Very indecisive there from MaxPax, who's now also supply blocked. Okay, yeah. He goes for it. If I'm Serral, I run it down now. I see there's so many Zealots missing, I try to kill him at this very moment and just hold with the reinforcements. I think that's what he's going to try to do as well. He's still just messing Roaches, so MaxPax doesn't necessarily need to go for these Zealot run-bys, but the Zealots don't really work well in tandem with his Immortal War Prism force, where he just tries to keep all of his units alive. His War Prism pickups are just so good. He's just not using any units. The only stuff he loses are a couple of Archons, and I think that's acceptable.
Yeah,
acceptable losses.
You really can replace Archons a little bit more easily than Immortals, right? And Immortal count just growing and growing is so good for you. The Archons are there to kind of tank, because they're going to be the ones that need to get a little bit closer as well, so as long as those Immortals are staying strong, which he hasn't lost a single Immortal all game, then yeah, this becomes more and more impossible for Serral, who is still just sending units. He's really not got some kind of cool master plan behind this. He's just spamming units, he's just sending them across the map. He can deny the fourth base, he starts with +2 missiles even, but like I say, the work count's not going anywhere to suggest that this game is going long for Serral. He's just trying to outmass his opponent, which, now that Storm's up, is going to be even more difficult to do.
Trying to regenerate up his Roaches a little bit there with the Burrow. Doesn't have Burrow movement though, so it takes a while and they can't move while all of this is going on. He spots the Zealot run by. I mean, yeah, it's just not getting better for him. It's just not getting better for him. Resources lost is pretty even, but we have to keep in mind that MaxPax is the one that went to a higher worker count than Serral from the very early stages of this game, which means that now we have an army that will be almost invincible once MaxPax reaches the 200 supply mark.
Yeah, it's looking pretty dire, honestly. It's not getting any better for you at any point here. And I do think that we are kind of walking towards a victory screen for MaxPax to tie up this series. Supplies are getting closer and closer, and again, Serral's army has not really improved. Like, it's getting a couple of upgrades, but it's not like those are upgrades which are not being matched by MaxPax either, right? So, yeah, MaxPax is really, truly just in a very comfortable spot. Not much else to say. I mean, the only issue is getting the fourth base, but eventually he's going to have enough to just hold out at the front and take that fourth base much more comfortably anyway.
Yeah, can't take corrosive bites like that. That's the only way he's gonna lose this game. If corrosive bites like that keep hitting, and obviously with his Ravager amount, Serral is making it very difficult for MaxPax. But now that the War Prism enters Serral's main base, I think this is the real, the real final pin where Serral now needs to go back. That buys MaxPax time to A, take a forward base, and B, he can also now move across the map for free without the Ravagers being constantly annoying with the corrosive bites.
Yeah, that's it's going to be pretty tough to undo at this stage, as we just have ourselves the army quite clearly looking pretty comfortable. The Ravagers will pull back. I mean, the fact that MaxPax even comes across the map just tells you the sort of situation this is. But MaxPax is extremely comfortable with where this game has gone to, and he is feeling as though he can just come through and pretty much close this one out. It's going to be a couple Storms onto some Ravagers. So they're going to take some damage as well. More Zealots into the base as well, so the main is under fire once again. Just going to have to go and respect that and deal with it, and again, just problem after problem basically continues to arise right now. So you get a few more corrosive bars to try and ward that army off, but this just is not going anywhere. A few Roaches, Unburrow on the other side. They're going to try and maybe hit the 4th. Maybe they want to go elsewhere, take a pick, but again, hard to really see it coming out victorious for Serral.
Okay. I mean, usually I'm a massive fan of army splits, but this is pushing it a little bit as Serral is still all in.
Yeah.
And he has way more army supply. He's going to kill more than half of the Immortals there with his Roach Ravager force. He might lose a base because of it, but I think that's the best chance that Serral had all game at killing any of these Immortals. Honestly, I think those are the first Immortals that went down, and it was 6 of them. It's still awful for Serral, don't get me wrong, but maybe don't do that. Maybe don't do that again.
Don't do it, yeah. I mean, fine to do once maybe, because you were in such a good position. I mean, supplies are still even for you with a very teched up army in comparison. But yeah, let's not make a habit out of it. It's a very Ravager heavy army as well, so pretty flimsy if Serral does kind of get jumped on. Because Ravagers die quickly, and they're all very expensive units too. He's basically forced to play high Ravager count because A, he's got nothing else to spend gas on, and B, he kind of just needs that amount of corrosive biles to dissuade MaxPax from attacking in. And you said it before, you know, eating too many corrosive biles might be one way in which Serral finds himself back in this if MaxPax does eat a few too many corrosive biles if we go badly.
Yeah, the 4th base will finally go down. And that means we have a 4-base Protoss against a 3-base Zerg that is still Roach Ravager all-inning. I mean, that's the one good news for Serral, is that he doesn't have enough drones anyways to mine necessarily off all of those bases, but he's trying to force the engagement now in the middle of the map. MaxPax just doesn't seem to be running out of Storms, and now that the Storms are all depleted, he has more than enough left over to beat Serral's army, and he ties up the series 1-1.
Yeah. Could have been a 2-0 on MaxPax's side with some different micros, so we get into it. Bottom left-hand side, our blue Protoss player is going to be MaxPax. And he takes on, of course, the red Zerg. In the top right, it is Serral. He was just going to extract the trick his way to a 15 Overlord. And, yep, Serral not going to be caught off guard on the 15 Overlord tech. He's going to go right into it as we have figured out the correct way to do in this day and age of playing Zerg openings. So, even going to get the Hatcher on the low ground because MaxPax chooses to send no probe across the map this game. So, he's going to be able to go Gateway, no Scout, and yeah, just going to be leaving this to set up without any information. Doesn't necessarily need too much info. I mean, usually if you're going across, you're mostly just looking to block that hatchery and to send some timings off. This will give MaxPax a little bit more mineral mining for a few moments and so on, so potentially a little bit more money to be a little bit greedier on his build. But of course the Zerg gets off to a more comfortable start as well.
Alright, I'm back.
Hello. I'm back. You missed nothing.
Nice.
Not even a scout from MaxPax.
I suppose that is something that I missed.
Yeah.
I missed the lack of a scout.
Missed the lack of a scout, yeah.
Oh, you forgot to know?
Oh, yeah. Cybercore's good.
Is that a proper position in Cybercore? Like, is that just a 1 gap, or that looks like a big gap? Maybe it's fine.
I think it's one of those positions where it looks worse than it is.
Okay. I mean, that tech though is Cybercore is now 7 seconds or 5 seconds at least. It is late. He tried to build it. He thought he built it already. Sent the probe back, and I had to go back to build it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
So,
a little
yeah,
bit delay adds up.
Stargate is going to be a little bit delayed, and he doesn't go for Chrono now at all, which I understand. Once again, Cybercore was a little bit late for no reason. And so it just runs in. This is something that you can mix in. It's bad against Stalker first, but MaxPax I don't think went Stalker first even a single time in their previous series, and I don't think he has done it so far today either, so it's a fine gamble to take, and the Overlord will be safer wherever it's going than it would be on the high ground against a Stalker and an Oracle.
Well, Lynx be coming up. Queen on the way, Hatch coming through. Just wait for the Stargate to get active. Obviously, MaxPax playing a couple different things so far off the Stargate so far. You know, his favorite is kind of +1 and Blink, but the Archon drop worked very well for him in that last game as well, so giving himself options right now. Just going to go shading about again. Hatch, link speed continue to come up.
It's a quick third base again. It is that exact same setup that he used last time for the Icon drop build. I think he might just play it again. A single Oracle, then he overcharges the Oracle. Quick third base, Stalker chases away the Overlord. I think it's the exact same build again. So we will see a Robo then now, and a Templar Archives. Not, well, Twilight first, but...
Right.
Yeah, there it is. It's the same build again. He so far is 2-0 with this build against Serral, so I don't mind it being played again. And also doing it back-to-back, I think is better than waiting one game and then playing it again after he fails with Blink or something, because now Serral is going +1 melee, which is bad against this type of build.
Yep. So it feels like you can get away with the +1 melee. It feels like there's less chance to do the same thing back-to-back, and now you are going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage build otherwise. Makes it a little bit difficult. There's the melee upgrade starting up off the Evolution Chamber, so we get that underway. As the pylon goes down to the corner, the Overlord continues to come across as well. And we just have the Rotor and the drones, the Lings, continuing to build in for the moment. As our War Prism starts, and, well, we know exactly where this is going, so we saw in the last game, so we know exactly what MaxPax is going to be doing. No surprises right now as the Oracle just gets away. Disaster averted.
I mean, I have to be critical there, I mean, obviously of MaxPax, because I just wasn't looking at the Oracle, but if Serral stepped forward one more time, earlier on, to the Queen's firing, he would have gotten that Oracle. So that's a mistake from Serral, and characteristic, because usually he's very good at that Queen movement type stuff. And that instantly would have thwarted the Archon drop, because then you cannot even warp in the High Templar safely. Usually you need the Oracle to be there.
Protect the...
In order to... Yeah, the morphing Archons.
Well, just going to see the couple of Archons morphing in. The feeling's going to get there. Queens are just going to be sitting tight as the Oracle showing its power, able to make sure that everything gets warped in safely. Love to see that, as we now have the Archons able to start moving around and harassing, although we are going to have Queens getting a couple shots off initially. Now they have to run as the Archons start to fight them.
It's trying to bypass the Queens to run into the main base, where there's only a single Queen. And important to note is that you don't have creep on the edge of your base here, so you can't re-burrow the Spore Crawler to help the Queens out here against the War Prism. Catches one Queen, that's a good pick-off. I feel like that's more than what. Oh my god, where's the War Prism?
It's so far away, and we're going to lose an Archon immediately. The Queen even getting some more shots on the Prism as it has to come in from afar to save the other Archon. Disaster.
Dude, he's doing the same all in again, isn't he? and this time around, he already killed one Archon. That's a lot of extra HP that your units don't need to go through.
Yeah, these builds, these timings are pretty tight. As the Oracle will drop a Revelation down on a few Roaches, and the Creep Team is +1 missiles, the Roach speed coming up, Overlord speed coming through as well. All those additional Roaches still coming through as the +1 attack, and Storm building.
Storm is a massive mistake. He doesn't need Storm.
Just too early, right?
He saw the amount of Roaches that were there. There's no way he doesn't understand. Okay, now he starts the cannons. These cannons... I'm also not even sure if these cannons are gonna finish in time. And he's floating money. He's trying to counterattack with his... This is a worse setup than last game, because he has one less Archon due to his own mistake from earlier. But also he just didn't realize early enough, so... The aesthetic defense is all a little bit last second and might not finish in time. And he even started Storm. I don't know what the Storm is for.
Alright, let's see as we do have our units coming around from the top side. Serral going to get a few of his Lings caught in a stasis. We do have one Ling activating a stasis ward in the natural already, so that's nice. Drain that Oracle energy as best you can. If he's able to counterattack, but Serral had Roaches mostly in position to deal with it. A couple of warning vials already, as he is now going to start working his way through the Cyber Core and just into the natural. There's double Robo in that natural. If you break through into that position and hit those Robos, That would be huge, but we're a little ways away from realistically making that play. As the Roach Ravager Queen sets up at the front and is seeing if it's going to be enough. Serral almost maxed out already as he now decides to put some effort into breaking down this third base as well.
And let's see if he has energy recharge. He just warped in the extra high Templars, so I think he should just morph them into Archons. Okay, one Storm is landing here on top of the Ravagers. That was a good Storm. Decent stasis ward there with 5 Roaches. He hasn't lost one Immortal yet, but the supply is looking much worse than last game around.
Yeah. You're right. Even just that little bit of extra Archon buff might make the difference here. As now Roaches come in from the other side. It's going to be difficult to save everything here, even with the Prism. Microing all of this correctly is going to be very tough. And if nothing else, you even have position right on top of this base. That's something Serral never got in the last game. So now he's going to force his opponent to kind of run across onto these units. And yeah, he can then decide whether he wants to come back across and jump onto them himself. The Prism's not quite close, so we lose an Immortal already. You can just see the defense is falling apart a little bit more compared to what we saw last time around.
Yeah, he just didn't realize early enough. I think he had all the information he needed. Because you never make this amount of Roaches if you don't want to all in. Like, there's absolutely no reason for him to make... Like, he saw at least 16 Roaches with the Oracle poke. So yeah, the static defense was a bit too late. And that combined with already losing an Archon for completely free is not great. And I mean, even this hold was very close to working out, you know? He still has some units alive, the 4 Immortals are still here. Yeah, maybe even just if he didn't get Storm, it would have been fine, but he's dead this game. He has a 1 HP Warp Prism with a bunch of low HP Immortals that he's still microing around, but he's also out of workers. Not sure why all of these workers are mining here, but MaxPax taps out and Serral takes a 2-1 advantage.
Alright, well, just like that, just as quickly off in the bottom left side with a Blue Protoss player who obviously is down in game and must win to stay in the winner bracket of the LiuLi Cup. It is MaxPax.
And his opponent 1 map away from getting into the winner's bracket final. It is Serral.
MaxPax decides to go across the map with the probe this time, so we'll make his way over here into the natural and see if he's in time to get the block off, as we are 30 minerals away, 20. Serral turns around, he's going to get the hatchery down, so that's nice for him. Gets the hatch on 15 and stops the probe block.
Yeah, that's huge. 15 hatch after Overlord is almost the exact same as a 16 hatch. So yeah, that's quite a good opener for Serral already. Getting that down, that's one of the huge advantages of going for 15 Overlord. Besides it just straight up being better, is that you can go for this 15 hatch after the Overlord, which wasn't possible prior with the old 13 Overlord that we used to do.
Right, gate coming up. Hatch gas and pool all coming in. A couple of drones on the way out as well, so we just get that all up and rolling. The probe do a bit of a patrol back and forth as well, as we just got our Nexus into play. And we'll see where the builds take us. I mean, at this point, you'd expect MaxPax to maybe go back to the +1 and blink, or do you think he Archon drops a third time?
I personally wouldn't mind Archon drop a third time. I think it worked out well, but I mean, he sees that Serral just wants to all-in it, so as long as he's careful of the all-in, I wouldn't mind seeing it. But I think he's gonna go Stargate into... Personally, I think he's gonna go Stargate into Glaives, but could also just be Stargate into Blink. Very standard.
Okay. You think Stargate into Glaives just because it's a good map? Because it's time to mix it up again, or...?
Yeah, he just does it once per series, and he's down to 1, so... This might be the time to do it. I don't think it's bad on this map, but it's also not great on this map. Especially if you don't get the block, actually, it's quite a bit worse, because then the Zerg can wall. But I think the way MaxPax plays, he usually has strategies pre-picked for each map, and then I think he's just going to execute whatever he has prepared for this one.
Alright. See what we get, as we have the Stargate itself on its way up, so we got that going. We'll see what the choice is behind that Stargate. As MaxPax will take a few moments. Serral just link speed a hatchery on the third base. It's a forward third hatchery as well. And yeah, a couple lings continue to move around.
Yep. I wonder if he's a player that deviates, because if I'm Protoss and I have a plant, I will block my opponent into going Stargate into Glaives, because then Stargate into Glaives is way better, since the creep is not there to make a wall in time. For the first Roach run very often, sometimes it still is there, but it makes it a bit stronger, because also all of your drones are at the third base, so... I wonder if he now deviates and instead plays more standard, even if he had something else pre-planned.
Yeah, interesting question. It's you definitely got to think it's a possibility, right? Because you gotta have some malleability in your builds to be able to see it to the end against someone as good as Serral. I mean, you can't just be super hard set on struts all the time, right? Without mixing it up a little bit. So we'll see. See what he wants to do. Next few moments, should be getting that tech choices. And third Nexus comes down for the moment. Second Oracle popping. And the gas is there to do as he wishes.
Yeah, it's Blink. It is Blink.
Yeah,
It's a standard opening. No single opener into Robo, no double Oracle into Twilight. It's a 3 Oracle opener. And he's just gonna do the standard, which honestly it didn't go poorly either in game 1, right? Game 1, I think he was in a very advantageous position.
Yeah.
Eventually in the late game, it's not like he won the game with Blink or something. I think the mid game ended somewhat evenly. But it's not like it looked impossible to win the late game for him, so it's also exciting to see.
Yep. Brilliant stuff as the Queen comes through. I'm going to hit that Oracle for a few moments. Other Oracle flying across. Going to get into that mineral line right away here as the Forge and the Twilight Council come up the gateway, coming around. The Oracles are going to be there. They take out the Queen already. And the Roachron and Lair both continue up. Additional drones on the way through. Continuing in for the moment.
Yeah, killing that Queen so far is the most I think he's got done with the Oracles in this series. He hasn't really dealt more damage, so that's a good sign for MaxPax as he now activates the Oracle. Does he have energy recharge? Doesn't even need it, Serral is not sticking around to find out. Actually, now he's going back. He wants the other Oracle to activate itself as well, and MaxPax, not being super on top of it, will lose 3 workers at the third base. 4-5 even.
Wow.
That is really bad. That is so much more than killing a Queen.
Yeah, no, that's a bunch of workers going down. It's going to have pretty big hindrance on your economy at this stage of the game as well. So anything you do, any push, is going to be that little bit more depowered because you just took a bunch of losses. So that's absolutely going to be painful for you as the Adept moves about. A couple of Oracles overhead as well, still chasing those Lings around. As the Hydra Den, Roaches, and all the rest continue up as well.
So he's going to Roach Hydra all in this game.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain. He started off with the Roaches. I think he expected either a charge build, something that he lost against Hero on this map, or Glaives, like I said, or even against the Icon up there. Just making Roach run, making a bunch of Roaches early is good. But since it is just a standard Blink, I think he's just gonna add some Hydras, get the range, and then go. Or even just speed. Just a single Hydra upgrade, go to the other side of the map and try to kill Protoss. Will be his game plan. I'm like 95% sure.
Alright, well. If he's going to Roach Hydra all in, what's important for MaxPax to do? Like, is this just a case of trying to trade very well with the Stalkers, catch units as they come across initially, and then just prep the static defense?
Yes, a lot of static defense. Either Chrono out Storm or just Mass Stalkers. I think Mass Stalkers is the best, but it's very hard for Protoss to realize that it is an all-in. In this case, if you see the Hydras, because you need to make units anyways against these Blink pressures. So yeah, it's important for him to not take a forward base. And as you said, make a lot of static defense. Both at the natural and at the third base.
Yeah, you need to make sure you can cover the pincer into either or. Especially on a map like this where there's a ramp up to both sides. Oh, Roach is going to be here to help the Lings break through into the natural. There's going to be a distraction already from MaxPax. Another Warping gets killed immediately, and I mean, these Lings are just in. They're going to do a bunch of damage to start us off, and that's going to be really rough for MaxPax. He takes a ton of hits. I mean, these Roaches just going to sit there and continue to trade. The Hydra's still pushing the Stalkers back on the other side for the moment as their numbers increase. They've got Hydra speed now as well. Stasis Sword will not catch. MaxPax getting caught up as he tries to retreat as well, taking even more losses in a disastrous couple of moments. As now Serral going to come across the map. I mean, you lose workers like that, and if you need a mass stack defense, that's going to be very difficult because now you've got way less money.
Yeah. Yeah, MaxPax just not handling that situation perfectly. Also, not having any energy at the natural was unfortunate, so he couldn't recall the Stalkers, and then at the same time he was distracted. Stalkers don't trade that well if you don't pay perfect attention. to them because you need to blink them back individually, preferably. And now Serral just has the better units. He got 5 probes with the first run by, he got like 14 with the next one. And that just means that he's in a prime position to run over MaxPax's defenses. The Stalkers have nowhere to go. They keep blinking to both sides.
Yep.
And that's a very awkward engagement to do because you need to micro on both sides and it's more than an entire screen away. Serral now going for the pincer on the top side of the army. Now that the Stalkers are completely out of range, he turns towards the other side once again. And even though this fight is fine for Max, like if he traded like this without losing the workers, I think he would actually win this game. It's just that he has mining of 20 less workers than his opponent right now. Serral can just focus fire down the Nexus. MaxPax is trying to aim with his probes. And that game is over.
GG. Serral takes it down 3-1 over MaxPax, as he is going to get it done with some faster paced games.